Right, so over the last couple of days, I've been talking about um, being frank with the fact that I suffer from depression and anxiety. But I think it's also important to understand when you're talking to somebody with any disease, any illness, anything that they might consider a failing thing. Yeah, it's good to normalize it. It's good to be able to talk about it. It's good to not feel embarrassed about it. But it's also important to know that it doesn't define me. I don't walk around feeling like a depressed person. I certainly don't even think about it unless I'm feeling pretty flat, and then I try and think to myself, am I being appropriate? But it doesn't define me, and I don't really want it to define the way that people interact with me. Yes, it's a disease. Yeah, I mean, much in the same way as somebody who's diabetic doesn't want to be defined as a diabetic. They take insulin on a fairly regular basis and they look after themselves in a whole bunch of other ways. But it doesn't define them. They still go off and do other stuff. It's the same with me. And I think that's probably the same for anybody who's got fairly decent chronic illness that they just live with. Anyway, so yeah, my disease doesn't define me. It's part of me. I deal with it, but it doesn't need to be any big deal for anybody else because it isn't really that big a deal for me. I've got other things to think about. Anyway, 25 push-ups. Right. Is this gonna work? Maybe. There we go. Oh yeah.